Mate, can you tell us about the story? Brett, you take it from here around the plough. I don't actually know the story around the...
Well, that was when I say it was
yeah.
like we weren't going great. I think 09, I reckon we were zipping something, or we might have won round one and then...
2 games.
Yeah. And then
for the whole year,
was just, and I wasn't completely aware of it, but there was a lot of turbulence going on underneath with the connection between Coburg and the boys that were in the twos versus where, and Newey was a captain. Was he first year captain? I reckon he was first year captain.
So, yeah.
And him and Jake were talking a lot. I think you might have been in and out of the senior team, were you? Or you were really well connected with all the Coburg boys, and they just weren't feeling any, like the club wasn't pulling together, and we're obviously losing, so something needed to change. And yeah, I reckon I wasn't in the meeting as such, but Jake was. And
so I've actually never spoken about this part, but I'm happy to. No issues. So originally it was more or less just you had a leadership group, you had the younger kids at Coburg. There was a few things that had happened. It happened on 2 occasions. 2 players got told they were playing on the Monday. Parents flew in, come the Friday in the captain's run. Players all then got told, no, you're not playing now. And then there was an injured player who was available, so they picked them. Right, so it got announced that a player was playing. It went in the media, he was in the papers, he was in all the rest of it, and then kid doesn't get a game. Goes, plays at Coburg that weekend, and it was gutted, played shithouse, and copped an absolute baking in front of everyone, that was rare. That was like player wouldn't actually come down, be yelling at any of the twos players or anything like that. I used to go and watch them a fair bit, and then it happened a few times. Then there was more things going on with the board. So the board had issues with Plough and a few things going on there. There was leadership meetings that were happening away from the club that I actually wasn't involved in. That was the leadership group and other people. You were in? Yeah. So there was more going on there. And then it was bizarre because I'd had a chat with Plough, and Plough would... That year, I still remember. So I remember I'd got injured in my second year and missed a fair few games. It was my hamstring that kept going. So in the third year, I remember starting, and we had Rainsy, Geordie McMahon and Alex Rance. And I remember talking to Plough saying, right, well, I want to know where are we playing, what do you think, and all the rest. And then he just turned and said, mate, you're not going to get a game while these 3 are playing. So I said, okay. I said, is there a reason why? And he goes, yep. He goes, I don't want all 3 of you in the same team. It's okay. So I ended up going to Coburg for the first 3 games. Ended up getting best on ground 3 games in a row. And then I remember Rainsy did his knee, so he actually blew his knee out. Rancy injured himself, and then Geordie McMahon, I think it was about round 4, just got dropped. And I remember going up to Plough. I said, well, can I have a game now? And he goes, no. I said, why? And he goes, mate, I just don't think you're good enough to play in this team, and you won't be playing in it whilst I'm coaching. I said, well, that's pretty fucked up. And then told him what I thought, and the words that come out, there's some words that are probably you don't say, but they were said. And then I remember the younger boys kept getting treated worse, and then there was the older boys kept having meetings away from the club, and then the board members were coming in. And I remember this one night, and I was back training. I used to box a lot with Sam Solomon at the club, so I was back training with him. And Chris come back so he went home from training and then come back. And he was fucking pacing up and down non-stop, and then ended up giving me the shit. So I've turned around and said, man, what the fuck are you doing? He goes, I've got a meeting with Plough. I said, why? And he goes, the board's asked me to talk to him about handing in his resignation. And I actually grabbed Chris and said, no. I said, mate, we can have our issues with Plough. We can hate the bloke, do whatever it is, but as players, mate, you don't have any rights to tell the coach to fucking hand in his resignation. I said, so it's not happening. And he goes, oh, well, the meeting's going on now. And then I said, well, come with me. So we went down, we went and spoke to Craig Cameron, had a chat and said to Craig, mate, he's not saying that. I said, you're stitching him up, you're going to put him in a position that's going to fuck him. I said, he's not saying that. So then from that, Plough stuck his head out and said, righto, you blokes come in and have this meeting. Craig's looked at me. I said, well, I'm getting the arse. I said, so I might as well I'll tell him he's a shit coach. Let's go. And I said, we'll go in from there. And I said to Chris, don't fucking ask for his resignation. I said, you have no right. So I remember we went in and we brought up a whole, like Chris was trying to be political about it and speak in a way that he wasn't going to upset Plough. So I remember I just stopped and said, Chris, so I said, Plough, I said, look, I threw the board and honestly said, the board's asked him to do something. I said, which he's got no right to, and it's got nothing to do with us. I said, mate, as players, we won't ask for you to resign. You made a comment a long time ago that if you ever lost the respect from the playing group...
And you felt that. That's what I thought. Yeah.
You wanted us to tell you. So I said, Chris, he's happy to tell you that. And I said, mate, and I'll tell you straight up, you're just a fucking shit coach. I said, you promise the world, you do this. Mate, I said, everyone here at the moment doesn't know whether they're getting a game, they're not getting a game, what we're doing this week, next week. I said, players are getting a game because you're trying to save your fucking ass. I said, mate, tell me I'm not going to play again after round 6. I said, you go fuck yourself. And really turned. And the funny thing was, after that, Plough actually stood up and shook me hand. And I looked at him and he goes, well, it's about time someone actually told me the truth of what they really think rather than have all these meetings that you don't think I know about. Right, so he had known there was a lot that had happened. And I said, well, mate, as a playing group, I said, as long as you're here, we play for the jumper, we play for one another. I said, mate, I can't stand you. I said, but if I get a game, I said, I'll play for the players and the jumper. I said, so nothing changes. And then all the way up to his last game, I think we won, actually, the last game he coached.
That was his 500th game against the Dogs.
We actually won that game, right? So even though the players thought the way they did of him and all the rest, it's not like they stopped playing, right? It was just a fucking schmozzle the way it all happened. But the odd thing was there was only the three of us in that meeting. And I remember next day I woke up. I'm like, I'm fucking fresh as a daisy. I was wrapped, got off my chest. I'm like, good. I opened my door. I kid you not, it would have been 30, 40 cameras, cars, everything out the front of my house. Video camera, I'm sitting there going, what the fuck's happened here? And then they're like, Jake, did you tell Plough he had to resign or else? It's like, what the fuck? Shut me door. I've shit bricks. I'm like, what's going on? I'd turn my phone on. I had a lot of mates that would ring me all hours of the night, so I'd turn my phone off of a night time. I turned the phone on, and I had about, I reckon, 15 missed calls from Craig Cameron saying, mate, call me as soon as you get this, call me. And I was like, right. So I said, mate, what the fuck's going on? He goes, you need to get into the club, but you need to come through, was it Brunton? Is it Brunton Avenue?
Yeah.
So then got in my garage, got in the car, reversed my car out, and they wouldn't move. I'm like, fuck this. And I had a...
Is that your black SS ute?
I had this SS ute. It'd been all done up. So I've revved it. Nah. Next thing you know, I put it in reverse, and all I remember is feeling, boom, boom. It's like, fuck was that? So then I kept going. It's like, steering wheel's gone. I fucking ran over a cameraman. So, kid you not, I'm like, shit. So then get out. By this stage, everyone's got right out the way. So I've fanged it to the club. I remember parking my car on Brunton Avenue, rang Craig. So they come, I left my keys in it. They come and grabbed me keys because I went through the merchandise shop, got in, walked up to Newey, and I was going to kill him because...
You thought he'd leaked it?
Yeah, there was only three of us, and I thought it was him.
Newey's not that bad.
And then Newey's tearing up, and he's like, mate, they're at my house too. I said, well, okay. And then I remember looking down the hallway, and Plough's come walking in. I'm like, fuck this. So I've gone walking towards him. I remember opening his door, went off my head. I actually went to grab him. I was going to fucking kill him. And then Newey, Kane Johnson grabbed me and said, don't. And I've looked, and then Craig Cameron's come in. So the boys actually grabbed me because I was fuming. And then I didn't speak to Plough, didn't go into his office, didn't do anything. The club actually sent me away for 2 weeks. So I remember they kicked me out the club and said, go away. So I went to Bali for a couple of weeks just to get away from it all. And then when I come back, it was still all going. I remember I sat down with Craig Cameron, and Craig turned around, and it was, I think he did it just to make me a little bit happier, to settle me down a lot, because I was ready to either punch the shit out of Plough and leave. And that was, my mindset was, if I'm going out like this, then I'm going out the way that I knew all the boys from where I grew up and that would be proud of me, because I'm about to walk away from AFL and corporate. So I might as well get me name the way it was back at North Heidelberg. So my head was just belt him and leave. And then when Craig sat me down, he actually said, mate, look, Plough's coming up to, it's around 15 or 16 or something. It's going to be his 500th game as player and coach. He's going to do that game and then he's gone. Keep your mouth shut, go and play at the VFL at Coburg, it was still Coburg at the time.
Yep. Go
and play there. If you keep your mouth shut, play there, right, the door's not closed. Because he, obviously, Plough going, Craig was still there, Blair Hartley, I think, not Blair.
Blair wasn't.
Who was it Matt? One of the recruiting guys, but they still said, look, we want to give him a crack, right? It's not fair, everything that's happened. So they, behind closed doors, actually said, don't do anything silly. The moment Plough's gone, we will play you the first week that he's gone. Right, so then...
So straight out of Barnley, straight onto the MCG.
Pretty much. So it was like, go and prove yourself that you can play, get to the end of the year. And then the odd thing was, with all the shit that had happened, I think 4 games, played the 4, there was a couple left. Craig come up and said, right, here's another 12 months. We'll sign you up. Dimmer then comes along, and I remember I was cleaning out the locker because we're walking away, and Dimmer's rocked up. This is when he was coaching. And then it was funny because the first time I actually met him, he goes, oh, mate, how are you? I said, yeah, good. And he goes, mate, thank you for everything you've done for this club, and, I wish you all the best. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you cleaning your locker? Are you gone? I said, nah. He goes, oh, I thought we delisted you. I'm like, yep, fuck, we've got another one. I'm like, this is going to be a fucking great start. So that was my first interaction with Dimmer. I was like, here we go. So I think that probably has a bit to do with why I never thought I was fucking going to get a game, and it took me 6 years. But yeah, so it was one thing after another. But the funny thing was, I actually spoke to Plough, I reckon probably about 3-4 years ago. And actually it might have been a bit longer. There was something that dropped. You hold on to things, and then every now and then as you get older you'll realise it's easier to just let it go. When Carlton were going through almost a similar thing with Mick Malthouse, right? I remember watching some of the games that Carlton were playing, and it was odd because some of the comments the players were making in regards to we don't want him whether it's him as coach, right? We're looking for something else, or they had actually given up on him. And it was funny because I remember the way that we played, whether we liked it or not, the outside world didn't know how us players felt or anything towards Plough. And I think playing for one another and then knowing all the shit, we had to lean on ourselves and each other to actually get up and get amongst it. And I remember when watching that, I was actually rapt to be a part of all the players. I was rapt that I was still there, being able to see it all, and so grateful for all the boys because they were the ones supporting, pick me up. Had they let me go, I wouldn't be there. And then I remember I bumped into Plough and had a chat, and out of everything, I actually asked him and said, mate, with all the shit that happened in that last year, and he apologised. He actually apologised for everything and for what had done. He said that he was pissed that night and made some phone calls and just was hurt. And I said, yeah, okay. But then he actually said thank you because it was funny. He realised the same thing that I'd just been realising with the Carlton game. He goes, thank you. And when I said, what for? He goes, your boys never actually stopped playing. He goes, I'm so happy watching that everything we went through is the same thing as what Carlton's going through, but we didn't show what they were showing. And he actually said thank you then and there, and it was like, you know what, shake hands and went our own ways, and we've spoken ever since, but it was just, very bizarre and, odd scenario at the time.